Finances and money. When my husband first had his accident, I thought, well, that's it. Which car are we selling first? I wonder how low we can get these grocery bills. We had a solidly two-income life that was very abruptly shifted to a one-person salary. It felt like I spent the next year having very public, private conversations at the glass doors that led to my workplace. We were fortunate that my husband received workers' compensation shortly after he was injured, but the insurance company that managed it was one of our biggest stressors, and the money was nowhere near what he could have made if he had continued working. At the end of the day, it was better than nothing, but we were certainly beat up for it. Money and finances are big stressors on any family, but in families like ours, it can be a mountain. The family member with PTSD may or may not be able to work. For adults who are physically able to work, it might be difficult for them to maintain a job due to the PTSD and the potentially co-occurring disorders. There are a number of supports that are available to help short and long term. These supports assume you are living in the United States, but there may be similar options in other countries. Resources available will depend on your financial situation as a household, the circumstances that cause the PTSD, and the level of ability or disability of the person experiencing PTSD. Many supports are income-based, meaning there is a household financial need. This section will be most useful to people who have had an abrupt change in their lives due to an accident, recent diagnosis, or recent trauma that has changed their life. But there is good information for anyone who may need help with financial strategies. Paying medical bills. Medical bills can pile up quickly, and not just from the medical situation that might have caused the PTSD. The ongoing stress and challenges of living with PTSD can also lead to medical bills. More than once, I have thought I was having a heart attack, only to find out I was having an intense panic attack. I can assure you, an emergency bill room costs just as much to assess a false alarm as it does the real thing. Be sure to be proactive when it comes to medical bills. Don't let them build up, get past due, and ruin your credit. Most medical facilities will work with you to make payment plans. Our local hospital works with a bank to provide no-interest loans that can stretch bills to up to 12 months. As long as the bills aren't too large, this is a great help. Our local clinic is willing to stretch bills over 10 months. Instead of paying $500 out of pocket, I was able to pay $50 a month. Also, if the amount is less of an issue, ask about cash payments. Some medical providers will provide a discount for cash payments. My husband even works with a doctor who is willing to discount sessions for patients who are having trouble paying, or if the payment source, such as insurance, stops paying or won't pay the full amount. There are also clinics that provide sliding fee services, meaning that what you pay is dependent on your income and insurance coverage status. If you don't have medical insurance, there are cheap to free ways to get insurance through state and county services. This may be particularly important if you have a large amount of medical bills. Medicaid, which I will describe below, will take into account the amount of medical debt or obligation you have when determining if you qualify. Your family might make, quote, too much money at first glance, but when your outstanding medical bills are included, you may then qualify. Medicaid and Medicare are state and federal health care programs. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the differences between Medicare and Medicaid are as follows. Medicare is an insurance program. Medical bills are paid from a trust fund which those covered have paid into. For most people, that's a complicated way of saying they paid into Social Security. It serves people over 65 primarily, whatever their income, and serves younger disabled people and dialysis patients. Patients pay part of costs through deductibles for hospitals and other costs. Small monthly premiums are required for non-hospital coverage. Medicare is a federal program. It is basically the same everywhere in the United States and is run by the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, an agency of the federal government. Medicaid is an income-based assistance program. It serves low-income people of every age. patients usually pay no part of the cost for covered medical expenses. A small copayment is sometimes required. Medicaid is a federal-state program. It is run by state and local governments within federal government guidelines. As a result, it varies from state to state. Don't get too precious about the use of the term low income, and don't let your pride get in the way of what is best for your family. You would be surprised how high an income can be and still be considered low income. And guess what? You're going through some stuff. Take the help if you can get it. Visit the resources guide at the end of the program to see if you qualify for your state's Medicaid or Children's Health Insurance programs. Social Security. I have to say, as awful as the situation has been, we did have some really great help early on. One of the people who contacted me after my husband's accident was a social worker. Or maybe I contacted her. I really don't know anymore. She suggested that he apply for Social Security disability. He was badly hurt and it wasn't clear if he would fully recover. Social Security disability can be a short-term or long-term solution. The Social Security Administration says that Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, are federal programs that provide assistance to people with disabilities. While these two programs are different in many ways, both are administered by the Social Security Administration, and only individuals who have a disability and meet medical criteria may qualify for benefits under either program. Social Security Disability Insurance pays benefits to you and certain members of your family if you are insured, meaning that you worked long enough and paid Social Security taxes during your working career. Supplemental Security Income pays benefits based on financial need. For example, someone who has been a stay-at-home parent or was born with a disability might be eligible for Supplemental Security Income or SSI. If you have worked for even a portion of your life and paid into Social Security, you might be eligible for Social Security Disability Insurance. I'm not going to lie, the application is long and incredibly detailed. The disabled person will also be interviewed by the Social Security Administration if they are potentially eligible and if they are able to participate in an interview. If you need help with this process, start by checking with Social Security or your county social workers. There are people who can help with this process. There are also lawyers that specialize in Social Security law. However, you will pay for their services. If you get turned down the first time, which is not unusual, you can appeal. My husband is disabled for life. Social Security has been a godsend. See the Sources Guide for links to applications and guidance on how to apply. Workers' compensation. If the family member was injured on the job, workers' compensation may cover medical bills and provide temporary income. The U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Workers' Compensation Program administers 4 major disability compensation programs. These provide federal workers or their dependents and other specific groups who are injured at work or acquire an occupational disease with the following supports: wage replacement, benefits, medical treatment, vocational rehabilitation, and other benefits. Good employers should be willing to guide you through this process and how it works. Family Medical Leave Act. Another incredible protection is the Family Medical Leave Act. Let's pause for a short story. 10 years ago, at around 7:15 a.m., I got a call telling me my husband had been hurt in an accident. As I mentioned earlier, I assumed the person calling was new to his job because he provided no details and responded poorly at best to any questions I asked. For example, he didn't tell me what kind of accident he had had. I asked, "Does he have all his parts?" He was a carpenter. It wasn't a weird question, I swear. If I remember right, he simply replied, "No." He didn't take the time to explain that it was his spleen that was gone, not his leg or arm. I also asked him if he was going to live, and the answer started with, because they really didn't know. As you can imagine, I had no idea what kind of situation we would face in the future. My last thought was whether or not my job would be safe. I almost immediately used up my vacation. I had used much of it up the year before on maternity leave when we had our daughter. And before everything was said and done, I would even go through all of the time that coworkers were kind enough to donate from their own vacation banks. I was blessed to have a great boss who started looking for ways to protect me. And after some digging, my wonderful director, Elizabeth, suggested I check into the Family Medical Leave Act, which is often just called FMLA. That is not code for F my life, but it can feel that way sometimes. The Department of Labor describes the Family Medical Leave Act of 1993 as follows. The Family Medical Leave Act provides certain employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave per year. It also requires that their group health benefits be maintained during their leave. FMLA is designed to help employees balance their work and family responsibilities, allowing them to take reasonable unpaid leave for certain family and medical reasons. It also seeks to accommodate the legitimate interests of employers and promote equal employment opportunities for men and women. FMLA applies to all public agencies, all public and private elementary and secondary schools, and companies with 50 or more employees. These employers must provide an eligible employee with up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave each year for any of the following reasons: for the birth and care of a newborn child of an employee, for placement with the employee of a child for adoption or foster care, to take care of an immediate family member, i.e., spouse, child, or parent, with serious health condition, or to take medical leave when the employee is unable to work because of serious health condition. Employees are eligible for leave if they have worked for their employer for at least 12 months, at least 1,250 hours over the past 12 months, and work at a location where the company employs 50 or more employees within 75 miles. Some of the details get rather confusing. Your employer's human resources person or department should be able to help you get through the process. Keep in mind that smaller companies are not always held to the same legal requirements as larger companies, so don't take this as gospel. This is a federal act, but also keep in mind that employment law can be different from state to state. Useful links are included in the resources guide. If things are really tough, don't forget about supports available through state, county, and other local supports. Depending on your family's situation, you might be able to get food stamps, rental or mortgage assistance, small amounts of financial help, and assistance with medical care or payments. County social workers are also amazing at helping find resources that you might not have thought of. Don't forget about food shelves, and don't let pride get in your way. The most unexpected people have had to use food shelf and food stamps. If you think your struggle is not worthy, trust me, this is not a cakewalk. We need to protect our families and survive to fight another day. By utilizing food shelves for a month or two, you might be able to pay other bills that allow you to remain in your house, giving you time to reach out for other supports. Many communities have emergency housing for those who need it. Homeless shelters are also available, particularly in large communities. Our local Salvation Army even makes separate spaces for families so they will be as safe and secure as possible. There is often community housing that is available specifically for family members escaping violence. It's not something anyone wants to think about, but it's important to keep in mind. Schools also have a ton of information on community services and what resources are available in local communities. Start with the school counselor. For military veterans, there are a host of benefits available. They are not always easy to get, but well worth the effort. Like Social Security benefits, it will take work and you may need to pull in others to get help getting your benefits. See the resources guide for more information. Civilian defense contractors working in military settings are not currently eligible for military benefits. However, they may be eligible for some financial compensation under the Defense Base Act or the Longshoremen's Act. Strangely, my husband worked on a military base but was covered under the Longshoremen's Act. If you are getting into these waters, it's probably time for a lawyer. If you would like to find out more about either of these, please see the resources guide. If you might allow me a small indulgence, I would like to speak directly to the military defense contractors. Our home knows firsthand that your service to this country is of value. You are not less than those who served through the military, and unkindness that may come your way is a lack of understanding. It is not my place to share the horrors you may have gone through, but those of us in contractor families know it is real. It might be different in southern states where more people do military contracting as a career, but in the North we have found no brotherhood and no sisterhood. We have spent many years being alone and misunderstood. Having support does not make PTSD any better, but it would have helped. Contractors are not trying to be something they're not, or trying to get attention by associating themselves with the military. In some places, they currently outnumber the military for active war zone support. They may be shot at, bombed, and even killed, all without a gun of their own. They deserve respect, and their families deserve respect and support. If you need support as a contractor family, I'm sure you know there aren't many resources. In fact, I only found one website that truly focused on support. I have shared some information in the resources, but feel free to reach out to me. Maybe we can build our own support system. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about when to get a lawyer. As I alluded to earlier, sometimes you may need to involve a lawyer to either get benefits you are due or to work through legal battles that might arise. When you've lost an income and have the other one at risk, it doesn't feel like a good time to start thinking about hiring a lawyer. Most of us don't make $200 an hour and certainly don't feel capable of paying that. But sometimes it's necessary. I think this is particularly true when things start going wrong with an insurance agency or if you're being offered a settlement. Documents you sign today could impact the rest of your life. I'm sure there are plenty of good people in insurance agencies, but the truth is, their primary job is to make profits and protect profits, and you had better bet they have the best of the best high-paid lawyers available to them. I'm willing to rifle through some state and federal laws, but at the end of the day, I don't necessarily understand all the details and how other laws impact each other. When push came to shove, we hired a lawyer. I suggest that you find a lawyer as soon as you think it might be necessary. You don't need to hire them, but find out who you will hire if you need it. When things get tough, you don't want to be using that extra time and energy to find a lawyer who's a good fit for you and your needs. We ultimately fired our first lawyer. He seemed more interested in protecting the insurance company than us. Not everyone is a good person. The second lawyer was amazing and is still involved with our case today. We are not in litigation anymore, but he is always available when needed. The best part is, his fee was paid by the insurance company. That's a long, involved topic and won't always be true, but I'm willing to spend $1,000 to save $10,000. Please ignore my totally fictional numbers. Again, make sure that you consider this long before it's needed. Let's leave finances behind and check out some things that most people won't tell you. See you in the next section.